is the parent body of Bay Hill News Network. We do Facebook Live for church service, funeral service, lecture, sporting activity. For more, contact at bayhillnewsnetwork@gmail.com or call 1784-529-8340.
Ship your barrels and household effects to St. Vincent and the Grenadines with SVG Direct. Jumbo barrels $70, medium $60, and small $50. We ship anything, name it, we ship it. Vehicles and more. Local agent, Adams Customs and Shipping Agency, 3rd floor, Baines Building, Kingstown, SVG. Telephone 1784-458-1328. In Canada, contact Michael 647-569-3285. Jambi 647-657-7362. Remember, it's free pickup at your convenience, 7 days per week, anywhere in the Greater Toronto area with SVG Direct.
Looking for that one-stop shop for all your hair and beauty needs? Then come to The Beauty Shop. The Beauty Shop. We are located in the former Black Cat Bar building in Kingstown. We have in stock LA Girl makeup, palettes, eyelashes, human hair wigs and weaves, Super X and Expression braids, Brazilian weaves, wool, and much more. We have hair accessories for dreadlocks and braids, and also for the children. We are also offering a 12% discount for barbers, hairdressers, and nail technicians. So come in today at the one-stop shop, The Beauty Shop. The Beauty Shop. Get all your hair and beauty supplies, as well as manicures, pedicures, and waxing. Come visit us at The Beauty Shop in the former Black Cat Bar building, or call us at 485-6943. That's 485-6943. The Beauty Shop. The Beauty Shop.
Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar, located at Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20 pounds cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar. Great news! Spectra Plus is now rolling out internet and TV services in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, better service and better prices from the new and improved Spectra Plus. Spectra Plus TV plans for $59.99 per month, VAT included. Adult TV 3 channels plus $29.99. For more information, call 1784-534-2551 or 1784-532-2501. Fast, reliable broadband and television services for your home or business. Spectra Plus TV, internet, better.
Nice Radio's Kalulu presents Just Another Look. Just Another Look is an innovative, exciting, albeit decidedly provocative and yes, certainly controversial, socio-political analysis of issues of a local, regional, and international nature. Just Another Look is heard only on Nice Radio, first aired on Saturdays at 6 p.m., with repeat broadcasts on Sundays at 9 p.m. Remember, you can catch us on the World Wide Web, www.niceradio.info. Of course, we are also on Facebook and YouTube. I am, of course, Keith Joseph. Today, friends, is Saturday. It is the 17th day of April, 2021. Welcome to another edition of your favorite program, Just Another Look. Let us begin this week's edition of Just Another Look by giving thanks and praise to Almighty God for His grace, His generous mercies, His kindness, his patience, his understanding, and above all, his unfailing love. This time, the eruption of Mama Soufriere took place after Holy Week. Remember, in 1979, Soufriere erupted on Good Friday. This time, Soufriere erupted after Holy Week. But the fact that it did so after Holy Week may well be instructive, particularly so. It may well be a reminder of precisely who is in control. And just another look, which is to offer sincere gratitude to the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, based in Trinidad and Tobago, SRC, for its astute monitoring of the volcano, for its attention to detail since the rumblings of 16th of November 2020. Note the date, 16th of November 2020. Through to the several stages that ultimately led to the volcano's eruption, explosive eruption, and the subsequent activities that are continuing to this day, even as we speak. That Rishi Robertson, Professor Robertson, is a Vincentian, has nothing at all to do with his clarity, his unambiguous professionalism, his attention to detail, his commitment to his profession, and his love for people. All characteristics that we have seen and understood and grown to accept and admire remains a critical factor in where we are today. In the warnings that we had. And so we show special appreciation to Richie Robertson, because his level of professionalism would have allowed him to do this for any country in a similar plight. It had nothing to do with his nationality. That is the nature of Professor Robertson. That is why that has been his chosen profession. That epitomizes professionalism. Rising above the prejudices and biases and partisanship. Rising above naked nationalism. Hallmarks of a true professional. Of course, there are chinks in the armor, and we will address some of those as we go along. But Rishi's application of his education, his training, and his expertise offers a fine example of what it means to be a professional in a field of endeavor. One individual who said he was staying in the red zone because he wanted to have the experience of the volcano. Nonetheless, made the comment that he would wish Vincentians, in the aftermath of what has transpired over the last several months and continues to this day, would opt to become volcanologists, seismic experts, because Mama Soufre is not going anywhere. We must also be grateful for the outpouring of generosity that we have witnessed from our Caribbean neighbors, whether they be the small territory of Montserrat, which, as you know, in the early 1990s experienced major eruptions and for years have had pyroclastic flows. Finding monies to make available because they have an understanding of what the impact is. Trying to put together some monies to offer to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To Guyana, to Trinidad and Tobago, to BVI, to all of the countries of the Caribbean. To Venezuela, Bolivarian Republic. To all those countries that have so far contributed and to others that are talking about contributing. United Nations is talking about organizing a particular fund. All those institutions will remain eternally grateful. Let us not delude ourselves into thinking that the responsiveness of our Caribbean neighbors in particular in any way advances regional unity. Somehow, God only knows, somehow they are able to distinguish between the readiness to assist each other in times of crises like these, in times of disaster, distinguish that from genuine Caribbean unity. They've never been able to capitalize on the coming together in times of disaster to facilitate a longer-term, meaningful Caribbean integration process. Amazing, isn't it? And we can tell you why. Because when you have disasters like these, the people in the respective countries are involved. When they're discussing CARICOM, when they're discussing regional integration, the leaders leave the people behind. And their selfishness, their egoism, their desire for power leave them as crabs in a barrel, insular, petty, childish. That's the history of our Caribbean political leaders. So don't hold out any hope for a regional integration being in any way advanced as a result of this latest disaster. But we are grateful for the readiness of the peoples of these countries to contribute. We've seen them do it. We are eternally grateful to all those who have, in one form or another, put together what little they can to make available to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are eternally grateful. We are eternally grateful for all those volunteers who have come forward to assist in shelters. God only knows that some of them really not adequately prepared. But the volunteers, the people themselves in the shelters, have rallied together in their time of need. There is not a single Caribbean nation in which the people have not found time, energy, resources to offer support in the face of the plight of the Vincentian population. We are grateful to the international agencies that have and will in the future offer assistance. We applaud our local businesses at the regional and international level who have made their own sacrifices to readily come to the assistance of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the cruise lines, supermarkets, trades, etc. So we applaud all those who have found time, resources, energy. We commend all those who have prayed and continue to pray for the Vincentian people and a cessation of the devastating activities of Mama Sucre. We are grateful. And Just Another Look seizes this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to anyone, anywhere, who has, in one way or another, however small, however large, taken the time to remember us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Whether it is in their prayers, material assistance, moral support, we express our heartfelt gratitude. And we say in the Christian tradition, God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. We also want to say that people can be good. People can display genuine empathy. People can rise above the nasty, narrow, partisan political divide if they really want to. They can put aside their envy. They can put aside all of the challenges. The Grenadian Prime Minister readily came forward and said, look, we can offer you St. George's Medical School, 1,500 rooms. There's no mention at the time of the tit-for-tat over the seas between himself and Gonzales. In times of disaster, the people take charge. If only the people will understand their own capacity, their own strength, with the help of Almighty God, to fashion us a Caribbean that is devoid of the bitterness and backstabbing and crabs in a barrel syndrome of our political leaders. Richard. But you know, dear friends, disasters have a way of bringing out the best in some of us and the worst in some of us. When you analyze the reality, you will determine for yourself as listeners whether we have seen the best of us or the worst of us. Just Another Look wants to make a reference here to the politics of Ralph Gonzales and to his style of governance. And so we want to refer to him in this segment as the commander-in-chief appearing to transform himself as journalist-in-chief. Because since the eruption, and perhaps even before it somewhat, it appears as though Ralph Gonsalves has become the nation's biggest journalist. We do not know if in his spare time or sometime in his studies he did journalism. But of course, being jack of all trades, he may well perceive himself to be some sort of journalist. But Just Another Look has always designated, for example, what should ordinarily be considered press conferences. Once Gonsalves is having it, it appears to become what we have labeled a press huggins. We have never, anywhere else, witnessed the boring, overly long press huggins that we witnessed from Ralph Gonsalves. Perhaps that is a feature of socialist and communist countries, that leaders talk and talk and talk and talk and talk because they believe that the people have no choice but to listen. But in Western democratic societies, we normally have a communications expert advising the political leaders on their communications. It is not to be assumed that because you're an academic and because you're a political leader, that you know everything about everything so that you can determine the best way that you can communicate with people. Western society, in the United States, the world's most powerful nation, the president comes on for a press conference. He makes some brief remarks, 5 to 10 minutes, maximum 15. And then he takes the next 15 to 20 minutes, questions and rapid fire responses. Not the kinds of boring, humdrum dialogue or diatribe that we get from Gonsalves, who first has to take you back. So when you ask a question, more than often he says, I'm glad you asked that question, but we have to go back to come forward. By the time he's finished with answering the first question, more than half an hour to 45 minutes gone. And then he wonders, perhaps he doesn't really wonder why there's so few questions. A press huggins with Ralph Gonsalves inevitably means for the journalist sitting there, simply put on your tape recorder, because you're not sure when he will stop talking. And you're not sure if you will get beyond 3 or 4 questions. But when you see what has happened, in a sense, what has happened is an aberration. And we do not, for the life of us, understand how the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center or Professor Robertson could allow themselves to be caught up in something like this. Yeah? So when we are dealing with this section of from commander-in-chief to journalist-in-chief, our rationale for doing this is that we have come to recognize that over the years of his leadership of this country, his interactions with the press have been decided extremely long and decidedly boring. Real journalists in attendance at any of his press huggings have little time to ask questions, if only because the responses almost always revert to things past before getting to the present. With Gonzalez, you can be lucky if at any of his press huggings you get to 4 or 5 questions. The point we are making, dear friends, is that the history of Gonzalez's prime ministerial leadership reveals an apparent penchant for him to appear to take control of all press huggings related to disasters in particular, whether they be tropical storms, whether they be hurricanes, whether they be flooding, and now the volcanic eruption. It is almost as if when a disaster strikes, Gonzalez somehow confuses leadership with talking. He doesn't seem to be able to make an appropriate distinction between what constitutes leadership and a persistent in your face approach to addressing matters of importance to the people. So over the past several weeks, and since the 29th of December, when we had that press conference in the afternoon, Gonzalez appears to have transformed himself from merely being commander-in-chief to being journalist-in-chief. And if one were to listen to Gonzalez and Robertson recently, we have what we call the Gonzalez-Robertson Daily Show. Don't miss it. It's the Gonzalez-Robertson Daily Show. Right? That is a problem. The Gonzalez-Robertson Daily Show. You see, if one were to listen to that show, one would be forced to ponder what has happened to journalism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What has happened to journalism? What has happened to journalism? And one is forced to also ponder whether the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center is perhaps looking at, this is the big international opportunity that we will get. Or is Gonzalez also considering this is one of the biggest international opportunities he will get? To be seen and heard over and over and over and over again. And the media is just supposed to take whatever you get because it is being done in a particular format. That leaves people decidedly bothered because people understand the politics of Ralph Gonzalez. And they wonder if at the end of the day, the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center is allowing itself to become something of a political patsy. You see, things can start one way, but end up at a place that it was never perhaps intended, but it ended up there anyhow. And one is also forced to ponder when one hears the Gonzalez-Robertson Daily Show, whether this is a forerunner to the way the government plans to control the media in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Is it that the government is ultimately going to be bringing VC3, Radio 705, API, etc. under one head, so that the government ends up controlling media in a way more associated with left-leaning countries, socialist countries, communist countries, and perhaps in the process muzzle the private media? Is that where we are heading? Remember, people, this day, the 17th day of April 2021, that is what we are putting out before you. To consider whether what you are seeing in the midst of a disaster, consider whether it also constitutes a test run of government preparing for state media to take control of communications in a manner more consistent with communist socialist countries. That is the norm in democratic countries where the private media is allowed to be alive and well. Because make no mistake, we have witnessed over the years the challenges that media and journalists have faced when they dare to question what the government puts out. So perhaps if the government controls the media more readily, but your problem is that you can't control the media the way you may possibly be thinking, maybe thinking. Because the private media have already opened themselves up sufficiently, as has social media, to allow the average intentioned individual to declare his stance, to make known his views, to be able to speak out on matters impacting them. That you cannot stop. Not unless you want to go down a road that the people probably won't allow you to do. People not going in that communist socialist direction, no matter what you do. So we are hopeful that you're not even thinking of that. So one is forced to ponder carefully, people, whether this is a test run for greater government control over information in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So you want to know what is happening with the media, you have to listen to the Gonzales Robertson Daily Show. Right? Now more than ever, Vincentians may find it necessary to consider seriously whether Gonzales' aim may well be to virtually muzzle the private media in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Gonzales Robertson Daily Show does not appear to allow for real journalists to engage their profession. They appear to have limited access to the scientists. And here one wonders whether the Seismic Research Center is engaged in a sort of partisan show, or is it that it is respectfully submissive to the government? Because this is important, you know. Because when we get to how we got here, we will have a discussion on why it is that the UWI Research Center had information about Mama Soufri's starting to turmoil since the 16th of November, and whether the Seismic Research Center did in fact communicate that information to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and whether that information was embargoed in some way. Because now that people are aware that St. Vincent and the Grenadines Soufriere eruption does not only impact St. Vincent and the Grenadines, were our neighboring countries informed by the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center about the activities when they occurred on the 16th of November? Were they informed when the activities occurred on the 23rd of November? Were they informed when they heard of the NASA report of a hotspot in the crater of the Soufriere volcano on the 27th? Were they informed? Because we know that Vincentians weren't informed. The masses of Vincentians were not informed. So did UWI Seismic Research Center inform anybody else? Because we don't want to believe that at any point in time, the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center allowed itself to become something of a political patsy. We'd hate to think that a regional institution would have allowed itself to become a political patsy. You judge for yourself based on the facts. You see, the Gonzales-Robertson Daily Show comes across as though Gonzales has suddenly become something of a journalist. So he's doing most of the asking of the questions. And many of his questions are presented as those that the average Vincentian would want to ask or to obtain answers for. So he seems to have a monopoly on what Vincentians would want to ask. Or, if you want, put it in the chat. And they will read it. And through him, it will come across to Robertson. But the information from Robertson is always useful. The same cannot be said from what emerges from Gonzales in the same Daily Show. Because it is good that people are exposed to the international media, because you see how other people do things, right? And if you take a close look at what Gonzales has been doing in the Gonzales-Robertson Daily Show, one cannot help but go back to the 6 days of Trump attempting to deal with the coronavirus at the daily briefing. That's how it comes across sometimes. You know, when Fauci says something, Trump comes and he embellishes it. Of course, Trump often contradicted Fauci. Gonzales does not dare contradict Robertson. But it also reminds you of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo at the daily sessions that he had. Oh, it's rather interesting how both Trump and Cuomo end up. Okay? Say nothing more on that. But it is interesting because when we analyze Gonzales in the Gonzales-Robertson Daily Show, we end up in a situation where we say, but wait a minute, have we had this all before? This is not new. This is not new. Recall, dear people, dear listeners, recall. Does it not sound familiar? Do you remember that we had crises and Howie Prince, as the head of NEMO, National Emergency Management Organization, is in the studio with Dr. Gonzales. And by the time Dr. Gonzales finishes, you wonder why Howie was there? Because very often it is, you know Howie, such and such and such and such. You know Howie, such and such and such and such. And does that not now Song familiar? You know, Richie, you know, you know, the kind of things that you're explaining, that's like, you know, when you're boiling milk and it boils over, right? It's like that, right? Richie, it sounds familiar? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Right? Sometimes, dear friends, politicians need to know their place. Leadership does not mean that you give the impression you know everything about everything, and that you have to try to do this and to do that to impress anybody. Sometimes you allow others the opportunity to exhibit their expertise uninterrupted. As it is now, Nemo appears to be sidelined, you know, because the emphasis is on the Gonzales Robertson Daily Show. That has assumed precedence. But to give you a better understanding of why we are making this point here and why it is critical to analyze for yourself, to take another look at how things are done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines under the Gonzales leadership, so that you can decide for yourself what is really happening. We have to go back. You have to do like the comrade. Take you back. Take you back to bring you forward so that you could understand. Right? We are compelled to review the unfolding of the volcanic situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and of Gonzales' role and response in the public domain or lack of response. We need to go back. And while we may not wish to be reminded of the chronology, it is nonetheless important that it is part of our recorded history. We don't just take the part that the comrade wants to be in our recorded history. We want the whole truth to be part of our recorded history because it reflects perhaps more than anything else what Just Another Look has been claiming for years, the travesty that passes for leadership under Ralph Gonzales and the importance of not allowing an historical wrong to get a free pass. The historical annals of the latest Mama Soufriere eruption must be systematically chronicled as truth, not fiction, and certainly not political fiction for posterity. You see, the Eyewitness News dated 29 December 2020, several months ago, noted that Robertson was entirely professional, obviously aware of the importance of truth in his representation of science and of the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center. So Eyewitness News dated the 29th of December 2020 had Robertson saying to us the very first time, quote, "What is happening now is a serious thing. The volcano is erupting." This is on the 29th of December 2020. How much notice we have, right? Okay. But you understand, friends, that on the 29th of December 2020, Gonzales had one of his press huggings. And it is at that press hugging that Robertson is telling us the volcano is erupting. This is on the afternoon of the 29th of December 2020. Okay? Prior to that, Vincentians received no official notice from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, led by Ralph Gonsalves, of any major activities taking place at Mama Sufred. Prior to this press hugging on the afternoon of the 29th of December 2020, no Vincentian declaration, communication, information session, press hugging or press conference, or media statement prior to this of anything to do with Mama Sufred. The 29th of December 2020, the first time we get this. But Eyewitness News continues, quoting Robertson. He said that scientists would try their best to give at least 48 hours warning in the case of an explosive volcano. Robertson is quoted, quote, "We are trying to make sure you have whatever the time you need to move people out of harm's way, whether it is 48 hours, 24 hours, whatever time it is. We want to be in a position to give you that, and we will try as hard as we can to do that." People, again, this is on the 29th of December 2020. The first time we are hearing of anything taking place with the volcano by way of a public declaration in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is on the afternoon of the 29th of December 2020. Bear in mind that that morning, earlier that day, Vincentians had already been talking about sulfur smells and had a number of pictures of the volcano with fumes coming up, making the rounds on the social media that very morning. Okay? 29th of December 2020. Robertson is quoted again in Eyewitness News. "I think you have to prepare for a rocky road for the next couple of months, unfortunately." And then he says, "Prime Minister, I think St. Vincent dodged COVID, but I am not sure you are dodging the volcano, unfortunately." I want to repeat that. He said that during the press huggings. Mr. Prime Minister, I think St. Vincent dodged COVID, but I am not sure you are dodging the volcano, unfortunately. End of quote. So, this is on the 29th of December. Gonsalves, speaking at the same press conference, urged residents in the red zone to be ready to evacuate at short notice, but emphasized that the alert was not an order to evacuate. And that included getting ready to move things from the modern diagnostic clinic, the smart hospital that we built in the red zone. We built our most expensive hospital facility today in the red zone. Right? In the red zone. In the Prime Minister's constituency. Understand that? You understand the reasoning? That the Prime Minister, with so much experience and so gifted in leadership, approved the construction of a multi-million-dollar modern smart hospital, diagnostic clinic par excellence in the red zone. So when he was talking about getting ready, should there be an evacuation order, he also talking about clearing out the smart hospital. Okay? Now, at issue there, friends, must at this time, must allow us to admit that up until that time, Gonzalez offered no explanation as to why he did not tell us anything prior to this date, 29th of December. But happily, because of his thirst for truth, Robertson is quoted in that same press huggings on the 29th as saying increased activity had been noted at La Soufrière since November 16th. You know, if you were in court, you would say, I rest my case. That's what you would have to say, I rest my case. Because Robertson is saying on the 29th of December, right? 15 plus 29. 44 days later, we are hearing for the first time of increased activity at La Soufrière. 44 days after it occurred. It occurred on the 16th of November. Did anybody tell us? Did anybody tell our neighbors? Will Dr. Gonzalez says he did not know? Nobody told him? Nobody told him that we had heightened activity at Mama Soufrière 44 days earlier? Was he completely ignorant of this information that Robertson revealed to this nation in a press hugging on the 29th of November? Who takes responsibility for that information never having been communicated to the Vincentian people at the time that it occurred? If a hurricane coming, you tell us. The storm coming, you tell us. Soufrière had increased activity and you didn't tell us. You did not tell us. So just another look therefore asks, did Gonzalez take it upon himself, or did he and his government take it upon themselves to deliberately keep the information of the quote-unquote increased activity noted at La Soufrière since November 16th? Yeah, since November 16th. And it is only because Professor Robertson reveals it at a press hugging on the 29th of December that we are learning that something has been going on at that volcano 44 days now. Now that we have the full-blown eruption as of 9th April 2021, just another look is asking Dr. Gonzalez whether he still thinks that it was a good decision or even an appropriate decision to withhold from the Vincentian populace that information. Increased activity had been noted at La Soufrière since November 16th. Why did Gonzalez not offer the Vincentian public his usual quote-unquote fulsome explanation for failing to bring Mama Soufrière's antics of 16th November to the notice of the Vincentian public? Robertson says, he's quoted in Eyewitness News carefully. he said that while notifying the public of this, meaning the activities since 16 November, is a decision for Kingstown, there has been similar levels of activity at the volcano in the past which were not followed by an eruption. That is true. That is true. But prevention is better than cure. Notice of any increased activity should have been brought to the attention of the Vincentian public. But we also asked Robertson, why you felt it necessary to make that statement? Because on the one hand he say it's not Kingstown somebody talking about, you know. He's not talking about Kingstown the city, you know. He's talking about Kingstown as the seat of government. While notifying the public of this is a decision for Kingstown. In other words, the government apparently would have been told. And it was a government decision. Robertson saying, the notification business is theirs and not us. Not me, the scientists, and not the UWI Seismic Research Center. This is a matter for the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines told us nothing for nearly 44 days. Right? Told us nothing for nearly 44 days. So, we asked, was Robertson offering Gonzalez a pass when he said, while notifying the public of this is a decision for Kingstown, there had been similar levels of activity at the volcano in the past, which were not followed by an eruption. So, is he giving Gonzalez a pass? That, okay, so this has happened in the past, so it wasn't necessary to tell the public. Is that what Robertson is saying or implying, or is that how we can interpret that? Because we really don't want to believe that. Okay? Was he afraid of simply leaving it at his indication that the responsibility rested with government to inform the nation? This should have been abundantly clear enough so that the media could have taken it for what it really was and therefore called Gonzalez to account. Can we argue in hindsight that we may well have missed an opportunity back then? Can you imagine if we had sensitized the nation since the 16th of November 2020 that they noticed heightened activity at La Soufrière? Would we have been better off? Perhaps, you know, had we been aware of what transpired on 16th November, we could have insisted on a first-hand investigational visit to the volcano at that time. At that time. But we didn't. We didn't. So one is left to wonder, what kind of governance is that? Even if you have had situations like this in the past, and it did not end in a volcanic eruption, ought you not to have ensured that it was better to be safe than sorry? To have a visual? But we didn't. For 44 days, we were told nothing. And listen, this is Robertson talking at the same press huggings on the 29th. He mentioned the activities, heightened activities on the 16th of November. He is telling us on the 29th. However, there were 8 activities on December 23rd. 8 activities. So he had heightened activities just a few days before. right, 38 days before. 8 activities. And then he adds, followed by a quiet period during which no activity was recorded. Again, was he giving a free pass? Why did Robertson and the Seismic Research Center, not having known what they knew on the 16th of November and again on the 23rd of December, not insist on an investigation at Soufriere itself? There's no record of that, There's no record so far of any requirement or insistence upon a visit to La Soufriere volcano between the heightened activities recorded on the 16th of November and the 8 activities on the 23rd of November. None of that yielded an insistence by the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies, or by the government, or by NEMO, or by any authority between these institutions to have a visual. Nothing. But importantly, the public, the Vincentian public, was kept out of the loop. So, at the 16th, we were still celebrating post-election. ULP, 5th term in office. The world boss, 5-star general, a 5th term as Prime Minister. The NDP celebrating that they got the majority of the votes cast overall in the society. We are celebrating. On December 23rd, with the height of 9 mornings, nobody wants to spoil that. We're 2 days away from Christmas, nobody wants to spoil that. So the Vincentian public was once more not informed. Once more not informed. And we have no evidence presented anywhere that says that the Seismic Research Center, which was monitoring the Soufriere volcano, insisted at the time of a visual of Soufriere, or bringing in an increased amount of equipment, monitoring equipment. Nobody did. Nobody did. Dear listeners, this is not an easy program to do, because we are doing it while people are in shelters, while people have lost everything that they had, while some people are hurting. And people will wait. If you leave it to the minions, they will wait until it comes back to normal, where people start to take credit for all the things that they did. And we ignore the acts of omission. One of the things that Robertson said on his daily show the other day, is if you have pictures, if you have this, if you have that, a chronicling of what unfolded, make it available to the Seismic Research Center, because this is part of the analysis, etc., etc., all the things that you experience. One wonders whether he would want this to be part of their own annals. But it is our recorded history. That everybody seemed to have dropped the ball. Why? Because we're celebrating post-elections, because Christmas coming and people busy shopping, because we're celebrating 9 mornings. What happened to being concerned about people's lives? What happened? What happened about our concern for people's lives? Why did the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center not engage in a higher level of diligence consequent upon the activities, the heightened activities witnessed on the 16th of November, the 8 activities on the 23rd of December? Yeah? Should we have had a sense of urgency at that time? And why didn't we? Why didn't we? And why were the Vincentian public not informed? Will the Prime Minister say that he didn't want to create panic? Is that what he wanted to say? Is that what he would say? Did the Prime Minister convince the Seismic Research Unit to keep their mouths shut at this time? Ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, this has very serious implications in terms of our analysis, not just of governance here, but of the level of responsibility of the UV Seismic Research Center itself. Because of what unfolded afterwards, we're grateful that we got instruments later on. We're grateful that time ended up being on our side. But that must not allow us to gloss over the fact that we dropped the ball. At the press Huggins on the 29th, we were told that on Sunday, December 27th, 4 days after the 8 rockings on the 23rd, the center staff, Seismic Research Unit, our center, their staff, was made aware that a NASA Space Agency satellite had detected a hotspot in the crater of the volcano. Well, surprise, surprise. Perhaps if we had done a visual, perhaps if we had even taken the time to say, well, in the midst of the Christmas vacation, people's lives in St. Vincent and the Grenadines matter enough for us to go with some additional instruments. Send it there urgently and look at what's happening. No, man, we didn't. So 4 days later, we hear about the NASA Space Agency saying this is what they saw. And we were told from Eyewitness News, therefore, the center arranged with the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, in Kingstown to visually investigate what was happening. One would have imagined that this was on the 27th. You don't want to think that if NASA Space Agency inform you that the satellite, you now must put 2 and 2 together, right? And get 4, not 22. You must now, as a scientific organization, be more than a little bothered that now the activities of 16th November and the activities of 23rd December may be linked. May be linked. So the center arranged with NEMO in St. Vincent to visually investigate what was happening. Again, the public was left out of this. This didn't reach down to the public yet. Right? So NASA, a reputable scientific organization, reported the detection of a hotspot in the volcano's crater. The Seismic Research Unit, our center, is informed. NEMO is asked to visually investigate. Okay? When did Nemo investigate? It wasn't on the 27th when they got the message. It wasn't on the 28th when they get the message. It was on the 29th. It was on the 29th. Do you get a sense of urgency? It's Christmas. It's Christmas. So NASA said they see something in the crater. It's Christmas. We'll go up when we're ready. We will go up when we're ready. What are you thinking? Huh? What's the hurry? Huh? What's the hurry? So the 27th was a Sunday. Nobody went up. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. The 28th. Did anybody go up? Did anybody go up on the 28th, which was the Monday? But on the 29th, when eventually they go up, then is when they realize what is happening. Yeah? So should we be surprised at the seeming nonchalance? Because this is governance. A government is responsible for the well-being of the people of the nation. The government is responsible for the well-being of the people of a nation, of the nation it governs. Ought we to be surprised that local authorities waited for what appears to be 2 more days before going to see what happened in spite of a NASA report of a hotspot? What they thought was somebody with a candle inside the middle of the volcano. That's what they thought, somebody with a flambeau in the crater. So there was no sense of urgency. Yeah? What was the Ewing Seismic Research Center's reaction to the fact that they didn't hear of anybody go? They asked people to go up. They asked Nemo. They arranged with Nemo. But note, a Robertson discussion didn't say, right, that they call back and express some sense of urgency that, wait, you ain't go up yet? When you going up? When you going up? Because NASA say now, and we can put together what happened on the 16th of November with what happened on the 23rd of December, with what they're telling us on the 27th. Go up now. We want to know. We want a visual. But no. Eyewitness News say, here is Eyewitness News telling us our local monitoring unit did not go up before the morning of the 29th. That was our sense of urgency. That is our Nemo. There was no seeming sense of urgency. If you have been told that a volcano that erupted in 1979 has a hotspot in the middle of the crater, ought you not to have gone up immediately? You ain't go up on the 27th. You ain't go up on the 28th. You go up on the morning of the 29th. And when you see what you see there, we end up with a press Huggins on the afternoon of the 29th. Now we suddenly get a sense of urgency. What did Robertson say at press Huggins? Quote, what the guys discovered when they went up there today is that just north of where you have the fumarolic activity, where there was a pre-existing lake, there was an explosion and a black mass of rock formed that area. And from what we have seen, it is steaming. There was an explosion. So, we don't know when the explosion took place, right? Because somehow, our monitoring system and the equipment that was in place up to that point did not appear to have informed anyone that all the rumbling that was taking place, that there was an explosion. People are hurting as we speak. But we have to understand what appears to be lack of care, lack of attention to detail, slothfulness, and the absence of genuine concern for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And by extension, the people in the neighboring countries who have since been impacted by the volcanic activity. So look at the chronology, 16th of November, no visual check done. 23rd of December, eight different sets of shakings. No visual. No insistence on visual. No new monitoring equipment put in place. The 27th, NASA satellite, the Space Agency satellite, sends information. The Seismic Research Center says it arranged with NEMO in St. Vincent to go and do a visual. NEMO in St. Vincent doesn't go up on the 27th. It doesn't go up on the 28th. It goes up on the 29th, morning of the 29th. And we are told what they discovered is that where you had the fumarolic activity, where there was a pre-existing lake, there was an explosion. And a black mass of rock formed that area. And from what we have seen of it, it is steaming. What if it was something worse? We'd have been caught unawares, right? Had we not done that 44 days after the November 16th activity, we would not have known. Up until that time, those 44 days, the Vincentian public was left without information. The journalist in chief, and not everybody else, Richie Robertson and everybody else, juggling with people's lives apparently, because no information was transmitted to the Vincentian public on what was happening at La Soufrière. And suddenly, you find this out the morning of the 29th, after 44 days of kidding around, of not informing the public. When you do inform the public, you're telling them that we have to go into orange level immediately, because this thing is steaming, because there was an explosion. Then you're going to now run to bring more monitoring equipment. Then you're going to activate this. Then it is an act of adhocracy. Adhocracy after the fact. Yes, we want to thank everybody for all that they have done. Since we knew for sure what was happening on the 29th of December. We have to thank them because we kept getting monitoring information after that. But we got absolutely no information for 44 days before that. That is the point, you know. That is governance. That is leadership. And just another look is today saying that we are laying blame also at the feet of the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center. Just as much as we are laying it in the hands of Raul Gonzalez and his administration. We make no apologies for that. Rest with you guys, those institutions and those people. So you could go ahead and have your Gonzalez and Robertson daily show. But you have to live with the fact that for 44 days almost, you left the Vincentian public, the people you love, the people you had to scramble afterwards to try to prepare for the volcano. You left them completely adrift, unknowing. You take responsibility for keeping your tongue still. Was that a matter of selective silence? Is that a matter of selective silence? After the fact, you can say all sorts of good things. You can commend all the people. You could go and meet all of the vessels that are bringing things on a daily basis. But you have to live with the fact that history will reveal. History will reveal and not be eager to forgive either the Seismic Research Center, nor Raul Gonzalez and his administration for what obtained between the 16th of November and the 29th of December 2020. It is always important that we record truth. You could try to repair it afterwards. Gonzalez has a penchant for saying, we must right the historic wrongs. But there are times when we could avoid making historic wrongs and fail to do so. The average Vincentian must not just be annoyed at the analysis that we are making now, but they must also be particularly disturbed and angry that while we could not have avoided what has taken place in terms of the damage wrought by an explosive eruption and so forth, while we are grateful for people having been moved in shelters and all these other things, with all those problems, we remain angry that basic information was kept from them for such a long time. And they must hold those responsible for not communicating with them, for not being honest with them, for not being truthful with them. They must hold them forever responsible. Cannot change history. That has already, things that have already taken place will stay as truth. Nothing you can do now will change that. That's why we took today's session to remind you of the truth. Perhaps the Daily Show will continue, Gonzalez and Robertson. But you, Gonzalez and Robertson, have to remember the responsibilities that your institutions carry. And take the blame for what was clearly a failure to keep the Vincentian public in the loop. And you argue among yourselves whose responsibility it was. So to do. But as far as just another look is concerned, you are are all culpable. You are all culpable. Worthy of blame. Worthy of the highest and strongest condemnation. We're grateful for what has happened since the eruption. But we must never allow ourselves to forget that level of what we see and perceive to be crass irresponsibility and insensitivity to the very people that you sought to protect after the fact. After the fact. That isn't any grenade. You also say that you were irresponsible in terms of not allowing the rest of the region, particularly those in our space, those whose countries receive so much of our ash, right next door, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, and further afield. What about them? Did we not have a responsibility to inform them too that something like this was in the making? Could we have done so much more with the information we had? Could the people of this country not have benefited from the information if presented as truth, in a spirit of honesty, in a spirit of caring, in a spirit of love? We ask therefore, is this governance? Is this leadership? Really? Is this the best we can do? It is simply amazing as much as it is disturbing. We say, what incompetence? What lack of care? What lack of love? But you know the sickening thing about it? Is that all of what we have addressed here may well be seen as the best known example of what is meant by labor love. You know, at the end of the day, we're analyzing whether the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center has, in some ways, allowed itself to become something of a political patsy. That and more in our next edition of Just Anarchy. You know, dear friends, as we come to the end of this week's program, I want to tell you that today, the 17th day of April, 2021, is 5,226 days since the disappearance of SVG Air J8VAX, piloted by Dominic Gonzalez with Rashid Ayyad. It is also 3,906 days since the disappearance of SVG Air J8 SXY. Yes, two aircraft from the same company, SVG Air, disappeared just under 4 years apart. J8 SXY was piloted by Suresh Lakram. Call out from his day off to go on a mercy mission in Canada. Never arrived. Never arrived. Never arrived. And we keep these in our program because they remind us of what we have become as a people. There are lots of things that we make noise about. But sometimes you wonder if we are mistaking the leaves for the forest. Because these are real life issues. But because they didn't fall in our garden in particular, we tend not to want to address them. We like the bigger issues. But when you read over and over again what was submitted as a report on the disappearance of SDG SJ8VAF, you're left pondering whether we play games with people's lives. And we are left wondering, why did we not see such a fulsome report pushed for by the Prime Minister of this country, as he did for the report and investigative study of the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of J8VAF? Why wasn't that done for the disappearance of J8SXY? Why? You see, because we believe that we have no right to ask these questions unless they impact us directly. But equally, we've not asked for an explanation as to why we had this silence in respect of Soufriere volcano's activities from 16th of November to 23rd December to 27th December. Finding out the truth on the 29th of December. These are issues where a people ought to call the government. But the nation has become so divided that even when we address the issue of the gruesome death of Patricia Bowman sitting in her car, driving to work, and being crushed by debris from somebody's collapsing wall on the 19th of September 2008, we as a people, as a Christian people, just kept our mouths shut. And when you raise it to certain people, they find all sorts of legalese and utter rubbish to offer you by way of explanation. There's no shame. There's no shame. There's not even sufficient sadness. There's even less empathy. God forgive us for what we have allowed ourselves to become. And we hope and pray that even as we have faith that what we are experiencing now will pass, we must also hope and pray that future generations always be told the truth. But we must demand of all of our leaders truth, not silence. When you're ready to be boastful and chest thumping and you're bristling, it's all well and good, like we're hearing after the fact and during the whole Gonzales Robertson show, daily show. When are we going to become real? When are we going to become honest? When are we going to demand truth? When we understand the true meaning of love. Enough said. You've been listening to another edition, Nice Radio's Callaloo presentation, Just Another. Just Another Look is an innovative, exciting, albeit decidedly provocative, and yes, yes, certainly controversial, socio-political analysis of issues of a local, regional, and international nature. Just Another Look is heard only on Nice Radio. First aired on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Repeat broadcast on Sundays at 9 p.m. Remember, you can catch us on the World Wide Web, www.niceradio.info. We're also found on Facebook and YouTube. I am, of course, Keith Joseph.
Bay Hill News Network is an internet radio. We are affiliate with Fun City Radio USA, Cancardi Radio, and Success Radio Canada, and Blaze Nation Media Group. You can find Bay Hill News Network at www.bayhillnews.net.
www.bayhillnews.net is the parent body of Bay Hill News Network. We do Facebook Live for church service, funeral service, lecture, sporting activity. For more, contact at bayhillnewsnetwork@gmail.com or call 1784-529-8340.
Ship your barrels and household effects to St. Vincent and the Grenadines with SVG Direct. Jumbo barrels $70, medium $60, and small $50. We ship anything, name it, we ship it. Vehicles and more. Local agent, Adams Customs and Shipping Agency, 3rd floor, Baines Building, Kingstown, SVG. Telephone 1784-458-1328. In Canada, contact Michael 647-569-3285. Jambi 647-657-7362. Remember, it's free pickup at your convenience, 7 days per week, anywhere in the Greater Toronto area with SVG Direct.
Looking for that one-stop shop for all your hair and beauty needs? Then come to the Beauty Shop, the Beauty Shop. We are located in the former Black Cat Bar building in Kingstown. We have in stock LA Girl makeup, palettes, eyelashes, human hair wigs and weaves, Super X and Expression braids, Brazilian weaves, wool, and much more. We have hair accessories for dreadlocks and braids, and also for the children. We are also offering a 12% discount for barbers, hairdressers, and nail technicians. So come in today at the one-stop shop, the Beauty Shop, the Beauty Shop, and get all your hair and beauty supplies, as well as manicures, pedicures, and waxing. Come visit us at the Beauty Shop in the former Black Cat Bar building, or call us at 485-6943. That's 485-6943. The Beauty Shop. The Beauty Shop.
Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar, located at Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20-pound cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar. Great news! Spectra Plus is now rolling out internet and TV services in St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, better service and better prices from the new and improved Spectra Plus. Spectra Plus TV plans for $59.99 per month, VAT included. Adult TV 3 channels plus $29.99. For more information, call 1784-534-2551 or 1784-532-2501. Fast, reliable broadband and television services for your home or business. Spectra Plus TV Internet better.